hope. Today we face the monsters that are at our door.
This is not gonna stop. You know, the third one hit carbon.
Pacific Rim.
The film opens with an interdimensional breach in the ocean. From it emerge gigantic monsters called kaiju that destroy everything in their path. The creatures are attacked continuously. After 6 days, the first kaiju is finally stopped. Millions of people die. The tragedy continues. Another attack follows. Then a third and fourth kaiju appear. The world realizes this is only the beginning. World leaders unite. They decide to build their own monsters. The Jaeger program begins. It fails at first. They then create a 2-pilot system. The results improve. The pilots are seen as heroes. They keep winning. 7 years pass. A level 3 kaiju codenamed Knifehead is detected. Raleigh and his brother Yancey are deployed. They head to the Jaeger's head unit and prepare. Marshal Stacker Pentecost is introduced on the deck. The Jaeger's head is connected to the body. The massive machine stands. The two brothers share a strong bond. They are drift compatible. A neural link connects their minds. They control the Jaeger together. Stacker orders them to defend the city. They see civilians at sea. They disobey orders. They move through the water toward the Alaska coast. Fishermen are trapped in a storm. A kaiju appears. The ship is in danger. The Jaeger arrives and holds the vessel. They fight. They land several blows. The kaiju strikes back. They fire the plasma caster. Stacker is angry because they ignored orders. The kaiju is still alive. It leaps and throws them around. The plasma caster fails. The left arm is destroyed. The kaiju keeps attacking. Yancey is pulled out and killed. Raleigh keeps fighting. The monster tears the Jaeger apart. Raleigh fires. He releases a final shot. Both life signs go down. Later, an old man and his son see the Jaeger crash. They find Raleigh. He survives but is broken. 5 years pass. Jaegers are destroyed faster than they can be built. Level 4 kaiju appear. Governments withdraw support from the Jaeger program. They invest in coastal walls instead. The Marshal is ordered to move all remaining Jaegers to Hong Kong. Only 8 months of funding remain. In Alaska, Raleigh works on a wall. In Sydney, a coastal wall lasts only 1 hour against a level 4 kaiju. Herc and Chuck Hansen activate an old Jaeger and defeat it. A military helicopter arrives. The Marshal meets Raleigh. He needs a pilot. Raleigh is traumatized by his brother's death. He refuses. After persuasion, he agrees. In Hong Kong, Mako Mori welcomes them. She prepares co-pilot candidates. Dr. Newton and Gottlieb are introduced as the research team. Stacker presents the other Jaegers. Crimson Typhoon from China with 3 pilots. Cherno Alpha from Russia. Raleigh meets Chuck and his father from Striker Eureka. They have 11 kills. The strategy is explained. They plan to carry a nuclear bomb into the breach. The other Jaegers will protect it. The goal is to seal the portal. Gottlieb is worried. Kaiju appear more often. They could arrive every few hours. He suggests dropping the bomb into the breach. Newton disagrees. He wants to understand the kaiju. Their DNA is identical. They seem like clones. He suggests using drift technology to read a kaiju brain. Stacker chooses Gottlieb's plan. Raleigh sees his new Jaeger. It is bigger and stronger. He goes to his room. Mako criticizes his piloting. He takes too many risks. Raleigh remembers his brother's death. The next day he searches for a co-pilot. He defeats all candidates. He sees that Mako is a match. He asks the Marshal for permission. The Marshal hesitates. He finally agrees. Raleigh and Mako spar. Their movements sync. They are compatible. The fight is intense. The Marshal stops them. Raleigh is now convinced that Mako is the ideal co-pilot for him. However, Stacker disagrees and forbids her from joining real combat missions. Raleigh approaches Mako and asks why she cannot be his co-pilot. Mako insists there is no problem. Raleigh says that sometimes rules can be broken. Meanwhile, Newton disobeys the marshal's orders and prepares a lab to connect his mind with a kaiju brain. During the drift, he sees a vision of the kaiju headquarters and confirms his theory. The kaiju are created by an alien race. The process nearly kills him, but Gottlieb saves him in time. After some thought, the marshal visits Mako and keeps a promise he made to her. He allows her to pilot a Jaeger. Raleigh is surprised and pleased when Mako joins him as co-pilot. They begin drifting and share memories inside the Jaeger cockpit. Stacker later learns from Gottlieb about Newton's successful drift. Newton explains that the kaiju are weapons used by an alien species that invades planets for resources. Stacker wants Newton to repeat the process. He needs another kaiju brain. The marshal sends them to Hannibal Chow, a black market dealer in kaiju organs. At the same time, Raleigh faces trouble during the drift. He sees memories of his brother's death. The Jaeger's energy spikes. This instability triggers Mako's trauma. She freezes inside the memory of her parents being killed by a kaiju. The monster chases her through the vision. Raleigh enters the memory and tries to calm her. Her fear is too strong. The Jaeger's plasma caster activates by accident. Everyone on deck panics and runs. The emergency release system fails. Mako is terrified. They cut the power to shut down the plasma caster. Mako returns to reality, still shaken. Raleigh rushes to her side and reassures her. Later, Raleigh overhears Chuck complaining behind a door. Chuck says he does not want Raleigh and Mako on the next mission. He comes out and insults them directly. Raleigh gets angry and punches him. He throws Chuck around until Herc stops him. Stacker calls Raleigh and Mako into his office. He announces that Mako will no longer pilot a Jaeger. Mako is upset and leaves politely. Raleigh argues that it is a mistake. Stacker explains the real reason. He was the one who piloted the Jaeger that saved Mako when she was a child. He does not want her hurt. Stacker also warns Raleigh to follow orders. In Hong Kong's black market district, Newton searches for Hannibal Chow. He enters a hidden location filled with strange items. He finally finds Hannibal. Hannibal is angry when he learns Newton drifted with a kaiju brain. He explains that the connection works both ways. The aliens now know about humanity. Newton has become a target. Hannibal tells him to leave and sends him to a public bunker. Back at headquarters, the team detects new seismic activity. 2 Category 4 kaiju appear, Otachi and Leatherback. Cherno Alpha and Crimson Typhoon are deployed to engage them. Striker Eureka defends the harbor. Raleigh is ordered to stand down. The battle begins in the ocean. Helicopters deploy the Jaegers. Crimson Typhoon detects movement. Otachi emerges and attacks. Typhoon is thrown into the water. They recover and strike back using the thundercloud formation. They land several blows. Otachi retaliates and overpowers them. Cherno Alpha joins the fight and attacks relentlessly. Otachi finds an opening and knocks Alpha aside. It then kills the Typhoon pilots. The creature spits acid at the Russian team. Striker Eureka moves in to assist. Leatherback appears and attacks Cherno Alpha. Otachi clashes with the Australian Jaeger but is pushed back. Cherno Alpha is forced into the ocean and explodes. Its pilots die. Striker throws Otachi into the water. Leatherback releases a massive EMP pulse. Striker and all electronics shut down. The city loses power. With no other option, the marshal calls Raleigh and Mako into battle. Their Jaeger uses a nuclear reactor and remains operational. The kaiju head toward the city to find Newton. They destroy buildings along the way. Newton realizes he is being hunted and goes down into a public bunker. Leatherback toys with the disabled Jaeger. Herc comes up with a desperate plan. He fires a flare into the creature's eye. Helicopters then drop the final Jaeger. Raleigh and Mako engage the kaiju. They are thrown across the city and crash onto a bridge. They get back up. The massive creature charges at them. They charge as well and leap at the last second. They strike the monster repeatedly and fire an elbow rocket to wound it. The 2 pilots use their surroundings and grab shipping containers to disorient the creature. It becomes enraged and pushes the Jaeger back. They find an opening and fire the plasma cannon repeatedly until the monster finally collapses and dies. The mission is complete, but one kaiju remains. At the bunker, Newton hears the creature's footsteps. It crashes through the ceiling. When he tells the civilians the kaiju is hunting him, they push him forward as a sacrifice. The monster tears open the roof and reaches down with slimy tentacles to grab him. Suddenly it turns and sees a Jaeger swinging a cargo ship like a baseball bat. The Jaeger strikes the beast repeatedly. The kaiju fights back and tries to escape. The Jaeger pursues at high speed. The destruction they cause across the city is massive. The kaiju spits acid but misses. The pilots grab its tail, freeze it, and snap it off. They seize the creature's head and wound it badly, but it latches onto them and takes flight. It slams them through buildings and climbs into the sky, rising toward the upper atmosphere. The Jaeger deploys its sword and slices the kaiju open. Both fall from nearly 50,000 feet. Stacker orders them over the radio to use the gyroscope for balance. They slow their descent and land safely. Once again, they are victorious. The scene cuts to Hannibal, who wants the kaiju remains. Newton suddenly appears and demands a kaiju brain. Meanwhile, the two pilots are congratulated by the crew and by Herc. Stacker calls it the finest performance he has ever seen. However, he reminds them that only 2 Jaegers remain. He suddenly suffers a severe nosebleed and leaves. At the kaiju carcass, Hannibal's crew harvests whatever they can. They report that the brain is damaged. The body begins to shake. Newton realizes it is pregnant. Workers scream as a baby kaiju bursts out and attacks everyone nearby. Newton nearly gets caught, but the infant suddenly weakens. Hannibal appears and says it was not ready to leave the womb and cannot survive long. Suddenly it grabs Hannibal, lifts him into the air, and devours him. Newton runs as the creature collapses again. Stacker is questioned about his health. He reveals he suffers from radiation poisoning caused by the Jaeger's nuclear reactor. If he pilots again, he will not survive. It also turns out that he and Raleigh are the only men who have piloted a Jaeger solo and lived. Soon after, another breach is detected. The kaiju are now guarding the breach rather than attacking cities. Gottlieb says there should be 3 kaiju, not 2. He decides to share the neural load with Newton to investigate. On the deck, with Herc injured, Stacker decides to partner with Chuck even if it means his death. He delivers a speech to the crew. Today they will take the fight to the monsters. The pilots prepare. Chuck says goodbye to his father, knowing it may be the last time. Both Jaegers are deployed. Meanwhile, the scientists drift with the kaiju brain. They see its memories and quickly end the connection. They realize their plan to close the breach will not work as expected. They rush to warn Stacker. The Jaegers reach the breach and descend underwater. 2 Category 4 kaiju, Scunner and Reiju, wait for them. They continue downward and land near the breach. Newton arrives and explains that the breach cannot be opened by Jaegers alone. It requires kaiju DNA. They must enter alongside a kaiju to trick the system. Suddenly, a 3rd kaiju appears. It is the first Category 5 ever seen, the largest and most dangerous yet, codenamed Slattern. Striker Eureka is attacked but slams one kaiju aside. Reiju tears off one of its arms. The other Jaeger activates its sword, stabs Scunner in the head, and drags it into burning vents, severely injuring it. Reiju charges at full speed. The pilots use its momentum to slice it in half. Meanwhile, Striker is being torn apart by Slattern. They manage to wound it, but the creature calls for help. Scunner attacks from behind. Knowing he will die, Stacker tells Raleigh not to help and to complete the mission. He plans to detonate the bomb. Chuck says it was an honor. They activate the device. 2 kaiju charge toward them. The explosion is enormous. The remaining Jaeger is badly damaged. Raleigh and Mako drag a kaiju corpse toward the breach. Slattern survives and attacks again. They ignite their jets, stab it through the head, and drag it downward. Raleigh activates the central reactor, burning and killing the creature. The kaiju DNA allows them to pass through the breach. On the other side, Mako begins to lose consciousness due to low oxygen. Raleigh decides to pilot alone. He places her in an escape pod and launches it. He prepares to overload the reactor, but it requires manual activation. The Jaeger descends deeper. He triggers the overload. The alien beings see him. He faces them as the countdown reaches 0. He launches his own escape pod. The reactor explodes and destroys the aliens. The breach collapses. The first escape pod reaches the surface. Mako is alive. The second pod is found. Mako opens it and sees Raleigh with no pulse. She cries, but Raleigh suddenly speaks, saying she is hurting him. Back at base, the team announces that the breach has been sealed. The war is over, though it came at great cost. In a post-credit scene, Hannibal cuts his way out of the Kaiju's stomach and survives, and with that the story ends here. Pacific Rim shows that humanity survives when people trust each other and work as one team. It teaches that courage means facing fear and still choosing to protect others. It also shows that sacrifice and cooperation can stop a threat no one can defeat alone.